A man makes, by and large, much more money than a woman does. And even if he doesn't make a lot more money than she does, if they get divorced and he gives her half at the highest tax rate, she can still go on and make money at her job, win lotteries, what have you, and it doesn't knock down the price of her half. She gets to keep the half and the money she makes at work. Right, wrong, fair or unfair, that's not what this is all about. A man's standard of living goes up after a divorce because he doesn't have to pay for two people all the time. When he goes to dinner, he's not paying for both. Of course his standard of living goes up. Not to mention that he can work longer hours without hearing the phrase, "You love your job more than me." In marriages, men tend to be less ambitious because you need time for your family. How many cliches have you heard about fathers who weren't there for their children? Many. But you don't hear it about mothers. There's a biological reason for that. The tendency is that, and I'm painting with wide strokes here, men love their children, but if that's all we had, I have a feeling the suicide rate among men would go up, because man's directive is to do something. We cannot subsist only by being there and nurturing and being loved in return. It doesn't work. We're built differently. We have larger muscles. For what? To hold and cuddle a baby in our arms? Why are we so much bigger than women are if we're meant to stay at home? We're meant to build the world. Women are deluding themselves to think otherwise. But for women, it's financially beneficial to believe in their own myth, because the more you argue, "No, we're exactly the same," the more money you'll get, which is why everything I say is not an even-handed idea. It's a wake-up call for all men that if they don't want to pay anyone money for companionship, don't get married. Because the biggest contributing factor to divorce is marriage. If you don't want to pay the price of divorce, don't get married. If you're willing to pay the price of divorce or living together with a woman for more than 2 years, the only recourse you have is to have some legal protection, not a prenup, because a prenup, by definition, supposes you're getting nupped, which means there's going to be half men and half women on the jury in a divorce case, and in a trial by jury, a woman on the stand can always cry. When that happens, the trial is over for the man. When a husband is put on the stand, he can't use that tool. He can't cry. "She's taking all the money that I worked so hard for." It just doesn't work. He will lose. The jury and the judge and everyone else have to go home to a wife. Some of the men will vote with the women, and the husband is fucked, and I don't mean the way he wants to be. I realize that this book will greatly upset women and be a kick-in-the-butt wake-up call to men. It's easy for men to buck social convention. They want to do and tend to do what comes naturally, which is chase after skirt. It's harder for women because what women have been fighting is the uphill battle. Women are fighting biology's prime directive, which is that man has a bigger chance of improving the gene pool the more women he impregnates. That is nature talking. Women are saying, "No matter what nature tells man to do, I want to be the only one, the only woman he impregnates." It's a problem for women, not for men. Dumb men will always get married. So will smart women. There is a phrase, a cliché perhaps, "old maid." There is no male equivalent. If a man never gets married and never has children, nobody cares. If a woman never gets married and never has children, there is a societal stigma, mostly from women. In point of fact, single men prefer to go with women who don't have children. They don't want to deal with children at home because they want to be left alone. They don't want the responsibility. They want to come and play and then be left alone to pursue their ambitions. It is less attractive to men when a woman walks up, no matter how sexy she is, if she has a child, because there are financial repercussions. The following is food for thought. Please don't get upset. A prostitute will at least have the honesty and integrity of full disclosure. Before any kind of physical activity happens, she will tell you how much money she wants for the act. Your wife-to-be will tell you nothing. She will never tell you that as your wife, she expects you to put a roof over her head, buy her clothing, food, and so on. This is understood and expected by a woman. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. Men don't necessarily think about it. Women do. My suggestion to all couples is before you start a relationship, certainly before you enter into a 2-year cohabitation, get individual counsel and soberly, above and beyond love and all the other matters of the heart, simply deal with the matters of the three-dimensional world in which we live. That means money. Talk about contingencies and a sunset clause. Talk about what happens if. Talk about everything before. It's called full disclosure. Don't jump into the deep end of the pool, especially emotionally, if you don't know how deep the financial pool is. If you're not sure you can't swim, don't jump. Take the scenario of a couple who gets married right out of college. The wife works and pays the rent and all the other bills while her husband goes through medical school. This goes on for years as he graduates from school, does his residency, sets up a practice, and so on. When they split up, and statistically they will split up, should she get half? Yes, absolutely. But on the flip side, if he supported her for years while she stayed at home, should he get half of hers? He supported her, fed her, clothed her, paid for her medical care. She never had to work. Think about it. Your kids, after the age of 5, spend most of the day in school. Should teachers get a percentage of your gross dollars since they educate your kids, watch out for them, and spend the most amount of time with them? Who loves them more? Mom and Dad. But who teaches them more? Teachers. Should they get half? If you think so, pay them. What's the price for giving birth? Discuss it. Together. Before. The point I'm trying to make is that any scenario, a relationship, marriage, boyfriend, girlfriend, anything that impacts one day more than 2 years, becomes a legally binding arrangement. You may as well be married because the same rules apply. Both men and women owe it to themselves to be completely upfront. She should say, "Here's what I want," and make a wish list. He should say, "Here's what I want," and make a wish list. If both parties can't agree beforehand, don't start the relationship, or at least don't live together for one day longer than 2 years. Now, as an aside to all women, I urge you to keep on doing what you're doing. Don't tell him a single thing until you get married, because once you get married and then divorced, it's going to be the single biggest financial windfall you will ever have in your life, and you'll be able to keep all the money you make at your jobs as well. Not to mention the new husband or husbands you will eventually divorce and take 50% from. For men, while you're dating, if she wants to go to dinner, the rules of society say you're going to pay. If you're going to live together, by and large, you'll pay the rent. If she wants to go buy something, you will pay for it. If you're going on a vacation trip, you'll pay for it. If there are going to be anniversary gifts, jewelry, you're buying. If she gets sick, you'll pay the medical bills. And once you finally get divorced and the proceedings are over, you will pay her 50%. And once she gets all the money, she can also go out and make a living, keep your alimony and her salary as well. If you don't make sure to speak up before the fact, you will pay the single largest bill of your entire life, to one person. Here's the shocking thing. It's not going to be to the person who gave you life itself, your mother. You will pay somebody you met after you grew up more than your mother who gave you birth, sustenance, blood, and milk. Your mother won't even get a few phone calls a week. She'll complain about it, but there are no real repercussions. But if you don't call your wife often enough, you'll get hell. The perfect day for her. 8:15. Wake up to hugs and kisses. 8:30. Weigh in 5 pounds lighter than yesterday. 8:45. Breakfast in bed, freshly squeezed orange juice and croissant. Open presents, expensive jewelry chosen by a thoughtful partner. 9:15. Soothing hot bath with frangipani bath oil. 10 a.m. Light workout at club with handsome, funny personal trainer. 10:30. Facial manicure, shampoo, blow-dry. 12 noon. Lunch with best friend at fashionable outdoor cafe. 12:45. Catch sight of husband's or boyfriend's ex and notice she's gained 20 pounds. 1 p.m. Shopping with friends, unlimited credit. 3 p.m. Nap. 4. 3 dozen roses delivered by florist. Card is from secret admirer. 4:15. Light workout at club, followed by massage from a strong but gentle hunk who says he rarely gets to work on such a perfect body. 5:30. Choose outfit from expensive designer wardrobe, parade before full-length mirror. 7:30. Candle-lit dinner for 2, followed by dancing with compliments received by other diners, dancers. 10 p.m. Hot shower. Alone. 10:50. Carried to bed, freshly ironed, new crisp, white linen. 11 p.m. Pillow talk, light touching and cuddling. 11:15. Fall asleep in his big, strong arms. The perfect day for him. 6 a.m. Alarm. 6:15 a.m. Blowjob. 6:30. Massive, satisfying dump while reading sports section. 7 a.m. Breakfast, steak and eggs, coffee and toast, cooked and served by naked, buxom wench who bends over a lot showing her growler. 7:30. Limo arrives. 7:45. Several beers en route to airport. 9:15. Flight in personal Learjet. 9:30. Limo to Mirage Resort Golf Club. Blowjob en route. 9:45. Play front 9, 2 under. 11:45. Lunch. Hamburger, fries and Coke, 3 beers and a bottle of Dom Perignon. 12:15 p.m. Blowjob. 12:30. Play back 9 holes of golf course, 4 under. 2:15. Limo back to airport. Several bourbons. 2:30. Fly to deserted fishing hole. 3:30. Late afternoon fishing expedition with all-female crew. All nude, who frequently bend over a lot displaying growlers. 4:30. Catch world record marlin, 1,234 pounds on light tackle. 5 p.m. Fly home. Massage and hand job by naked Elle Macpherson, bending over naturally. 6:45. Shit, shower, and shave. 7 p.m. Watch news. Michael Jackson assassinated. Porn legalized. 7:30. Dinner, lobster, appetizers, Dom Perignon, 1953, big juicy steak, followed by ice cream served on a big pair of tits. 9 p.m. Napoleon brandy and Cuban cigar in front of wall-sized TV as you watch your favorite football team win decisive victory. 9:30. Sex with 3 women, all with lesbian tendencies, some bending over. 11 p.m. Massage and jacuzzi with tasty pizza snacks and cleansing ale. 11:30. Nightcap blowjob. 11:45. In bed alone. 11:50. A 22-second fart that changes note 4 times and forces dog to leave the room. Both men and women want to feel safe with each other. Safe to men means, don't steal my money. Safe to women means, I want financial security. Perhaps the only way women can understand this concept is by comparing rape and lovemaking. To somebody from another galaxy, the difference might be perplexing. Rape and lovemaking look very similar. The difference is choice. Both usually involve penetration. The difference is one is given wholeheartedly, the other is taken brutally. Rape in my world would be her hand in my pocket. If it's okay with me and given with all my heart, she can take as much as she wants. If it's without my consent, she can't have a penny. I may truly want to give her every dime I have, but if she tries to steal a penny from me, I will spend every nickel I have to fight her, simply for the principle of it. Women don't want to be raped. Neither do men. If men and women don't want the government, courts, or society deciding for them what the price of intimacy should be, then due diligence and cohabitation agreements are the answer. Perhaps the reason I'm devoting so much space to the nature of relationships, and especially their financial repercussions, is because this book is intended to shine a spotlight on things that would otherwise go scurrying back into the dark. It's time to shed some light on fantasy and talk about reality. Financial reality. I make no judgments, I make no claims, and you are free to make your own decisions and pay the consequences for your decisions. There are 3 basic kinds of agreements that govern living arrangements. Check with a lawyer in your state, whether or not you utilize them. Marriage is the obvious one and the most common, with more than 56 million married couples in the United States today. That's 112 million people. The rules of marriage are slightly different in every state. Few couples sign prenuptial agreements before they get married, which have their own rules and vary by couple. There are common law marriages, the laws of which are slightly different in every state, and finally, there are cohabitation agreements. I will take this opportunity to remind men it's to your financial benefit, before you fall in love and before you do anything, whether it's for a lifetime or just a few years, to have full disclosure. Tell her everything, what you're willing to do financially and what you're not willing to do. Women, on the other hand, should do that only if they're financially foolish. My advice to women is to be as vague as possible, because there's no other way to reap the full financial benefits of divorce. If a man realizes before he gets married what the price of that relationship is going to be, he may very well decide not to get married. Women benefit when they make sure that a man is dazzled by love and doesn't have enough time to think things through before rushing into marriage. I offer the following. He says to her, I love you, but before we go further, I'd like to discuss what happens in case we ever get divorced. How much money would you like? Her response might be to avoid the issue, cry, and say it's unromantic to talk about it. Men, you better run as fast as your legs can carry you, because anybody who you're supposed to share your bed and your life with, who refuses to talk about your money, is giving you a harbinger of things to come. The laws of marriage have nothing to do with love. It's a financial arrangement that usually benefits women, and the poorer the man is, the more a dollar hurts when it leaves his pocket. Many listeners will find all this very disturbing. The reason is that it's the truth, and part of the power women have is that the financial ramifications of relationships to men don't quite get out there. Some of the comments I've gotten about my ideas on marriage are, how can you say anything about marriage until you've experienced it? I've also never been shot by a gun. But I have a sneaking suspicion I might not like it. The notion that you have to experience something before you can comment on it is only made by fools. One can learn by observing, or learn nothing by experiencing. It may be akin to having your face too close to the mirror. While it's true the mirror shows your reflection, you may also be too close to see anything. Perspective is always the most important thing. I like the freedom of being able to decide for myself what to do, how hard to work, and how to spend my money without giving it to anyone. I refuse to check with anyone how I should spend my money. The feeling is indescribable. Men who usually have to check with anyone, and women who have to check with a man on how they can spend their money, will never fully enjoy the fruits of their labor. They will never have the satisfaction that comes from deciding your own destiny. Even while I was working for a living, whether it was at a butcher shop, selling newspaper and magazine subscriptions door to door, or as a Kelly girl, later known as Kelly Services, I was deciding my own destiny, which means having control of my own money. It is up to you to decide what effect marriage or cohabitation will have on your money and therefore your destiny. I'm not trying to be confrontational or judgmental. None of this is, in fact, meant to help you make up your mind about whether you should get married or not. My intent is to make sure that you, the men out there, and you, the women out there, make as much money as you can, even before you've made some other sober decisions about what your career will be. And the reason perhaps the tone of what I say about marriage is sometimes brutal, always honest, and sometimes even funny, is that marriage has been, continues to be, and will probably always be the best of all worlds and the worst of all worlds, the good, the bad, and the ugly. If men and women were able to separate love from money, then perhaps more people would stay married. The only two things wrong with marriage, for men, are the following. He can't have access to any other females, by law. And two, if he does, he has to pay his wife more money for sharing his bed than he has to pay his mother for giving him life. Oprah and Martha. Neither is married. Oprah and Martha, before her legal troubles, were each worth hundreds of millions of dollars. At their rate of growth, they would soon be billionairesses. It's all theirs, the whole pie. If it's okay for them, and they figured it out, you should too. But consider this. Do you think it's just coincidence that neither is married? The great feminist Gloria Steinem eventually got married. She'd been saying for years that it was time to stop depending on men. Women had arrived. And eventually, she got married. Women tend to go for a guy who earns more money, is taller than she is, and has more power. That's a good match. You want a guy who's shorter than you, has less money than you, and is younger than you? I don't think so. By the way, men think the same thing. A good match for a man is a woman who's not as tall as he is less powerful than he is, and has less money than he does. That's also his idea of a good match. I know some women support men. They've been had. He can go out and make his own money. So can you. So ladies, what's it all about? Well, here it is. You can't pee like a puppy if you want to run with the wolves. The choice for women is either to rely on sex and marriage as the way to get riches, or compete with men on their level. No women's rules, like women's basketball or midget rules. Either you go toe-to-toe with men, or you can't play basketball. Same rules for men and women. This is not as bleak as it sounds. We don't live in caves anymore, and the strongest men don't necessarily win. As I said, the information age, computers, has leveled the playing field. Women can outperform and out-earn men. Women, however, are almost non-existent in engineering, architecture, mathematics, the sciences, but especially the computer world. Why? You tell me. If computers are something you women have avoided, then the riches they offer, information, access, and especially money, will avoid you. Women statistically tend to shy away from technology. I'm here to tell the ladies the computer will give you muscles just as big as the guys have, and you can go online shopping as well. Sorry, couldn't resist. So I say to you, does waiting for your husband to get home from work sound horrible to you? Then get off your ass and go do something. Stop relying on your looks. Go to school. Get a job. You can have it all, just like the men. Tall buildings stand firm if the basement and the first floor are solid. It's never how tall a building is, it's only whether or not the foundation is solid. The problem with relationships is both men and women have dominion over each other. There's a judge and jury. Someone can ask you, where are you going? Where you been? My first response to the question, where have you been, is, who wants to know? People only want to know where you've been to find out if you've been with someone else. If man or woman is late by an hour or so, but especially the man, she wants to know where he's been. If she calls the office and he's not there, she'll ask, where have you been? Who wants to know? What gives people the right to ask such questions? That's my problem with marriage. It eventually comes down to, does somebody have dominion over you? And does someone have their hand in your pocket? Whether they love you or not is beside the point. No one has the right to ask me where I'm going. Nobody has that power. I'm a grown-up. I'm 53 years old. The last person I had to answer to, my mother, had that right because she gave me life. There's no one else who should be allowed to ask you that question, not men to women or women to men. The only exception is if I hire you and you're doing work for me. I have the right to ask you where you've been, but only during the time frame I pay your salary. There are those men who are very jealous and possessive of their girlfriends, asking them where they've been and where they're going, keeping very close tabs on them. But these are men who don't have a lot of access to women. Guys who have a lot of girls don't really care. They're too busy dipping to notice what one individual girl is doing. It's when a guy has all his eggs in one basket that he holds on too tightly, because there are no other females. If a guy's got 100 girls he can call at any time, he doesn't hold on as tightly. It's like food. If you go to a buffet and there are other people eating, you don't care. But if you're starving and there's only one morsel of food, you will kill the other people to prevent them from getting that bit of food. Get it? Girls and food. When there's a lot of food on the table, other people can eat, no problem. When it affects you, we got a problem, Houston. Money is like that too. If you've got a lot of money, you may not hold on as tight, which may or may not be a wise decision. But if you've only got a little bit of money and someone steals some of your pennies, it affects your life greatly. Guys like Dr. Phil are always telling you, find out what the relationship is all about. But he avoids the truth, which is that biology dictates behavior. Oh, everyone else's husband is like that, not my husband. That's a lie. All men are created with the same basic DNA and have the same biological urges, and the divorce rate is high not because all these women are terrible, but because men wander. And I'm talking about the ones who have gone through divorces, who've paid the price for being caught cheating. And how about all the multitudes of men who never get caught? Count all those up. Why do men keep doing it? Because we're designed that way, and if you have an argument, argue with God. It reminds me of the story about a single woman who bought a little dog. She loved it with all her heart, fed it, walked it, fussed over it. One day she walked in and there was a pile of poop right in the middle of her nice carpet. She berated the dog. How could you do this to me? I fed you, I walked you, I took care of you. And the dog says, well, I never asked you to do any of that. And besides, if you didn't want poop on the carpet, why'd you get a dog? Lady, I'm a dog. You want peace and quiet? Get a cat. I'm a dog. That's what I do. Poop. Yesterday I woke up and saw my dog Snippet, who both Shannon and I love with all our hearts. Snippet was outside doing what he does naturally, which is trying to kill a squirrel. It was a Snippet I didn't recognize. My dog was clawing into the squirrel's back, and his nails seemed further out, and his teeth were bared. He was biting into the squirrel's neck. My immediate thought was, "How could you do this?" And I threw something at the dog to make him stop. Even after the dog was standing at attention and cowering, his teeth were still bared, and he was snapping his jaw. The squirrel barely got away, and I was half embarrassed by what I've done. Because if there was a word balloon like a comic strip over Snippet's head, the dog would have said something like, "What's your problem? I'm a dog. I was trying to kill the squirrel. That's what I do." So, why are men so attracted to women? Because we're men. And women know all this. The truth is, when women get together to play mahjong, they say, "All men are dogs." And that's correct. The lie is that all men are that way except my husband. My guy isn't like that. When the lights go out and women are about to fall asleep, they know it's a lie. They whisper to themselves, "Why are all men alike?" That's when the truth comes out. And in the great cosmic plan, I offer the following, and let someone else tell me what it all means. In the course of a lifetime of a woman, by and large, she has no problem having one monogamous relationship. If and when, and it's most likely when, a relationship has run its course, usually sooner than she would like it to end, she will get into another relationship. In her lifetime, she will have a series of men lined up, one right after the other. Very few women nowadays have only one lifelong relationship. You will have had multiple partners by the time your life is over. And it's okay. No matter how many oaths you take, you're fine with breaking them, lying to God, the church and state, and everybody else, because you're doing it from your heart. So you are completely ethical in your own view of yourself, which is to say you can line them up, one right after the next. Now, men are just like women, except we line partners up at the same time. We have a line that goes left to right. You have a line that only goes forward, and I offer the following. What the fuck's the difference? All of us have multiple partners. Women's only objection is that men are willing to have another partner at the same time you're here. That's your only problem. You're not saying you have a problem with multiple partners. You're only saying, don't do it while I'm here. And if we do have more than one partner at the same time, women want money. That's what it's really all about. If you were an alien from another galaxy studying it, you'd say, what the hell's the difference? You all have multiple partners. One has more, one has less. It's a space-time relationship. It's okay for men to have multiple partners, just not at the same time. Well, tell you what. You pay attention to being a woman, and we'll pay attention to being a man. We're not arguing with you that you can't have one right after another. Why are you arguing with us that we can't have them at the same time? Only because it involves you? You want to be the queen, the only one? The answer is no. It's all biology. There are exceptions, asexual men, gay men, lesbians, and so on, but nature determines that women go for a provider, because even if you plan your life a certain way, at a certain point when you get pregnant, and the tendency is that women will try to get pregnant, you're going to be out of commission for 9 months. Why are we designed this way? Why do women go out of their minds once a month? We all still have a prehensile tail. It's right there. You can touch it. You don't need it, but it's there. We don't need fingernails to tear into flesh, but we still have them. We don't need canine teeth because food is all processed now. Everything's a Slurpee. But the canine teeth are still right there in the front of our mouths to rip into flesh. Men and women are not honest with each other. As long as that happens, the man will pay through his ass. You've got to tell each other everything. Tell a man everything. Tell a woman everything. Before. Find out before. Don't have a plumber come over and fix your plumbing and then hand you a bill. Never do that. The same wisdom you use to make sure you get an assessment of the cost should apply to your relationships. I urge all men to find out what the cost of marriage is before they enter into it. Don't be shocked at the cost afterwards. Make no mistake about it, there is a cost to all relationships. Even if you take a girl out to a movie, it's transportation, food, and the cost of the movie. Sometimes the cost is agreeable. A man will say, "I'm happy to take her out and spend the money," and so on. But if the cost of taking her out is she wants a Porsche, he may want to know beforehand. "I went out with you. Where's my Porsche?" You must know the cost of things beforehand. My daughter said to me when she was 3, "Daddy, can I have a Porsche?" I said, "You can have the whole dealership." Giving is not the same as taking. I may want to give you the world, but if you try to take it, I'll fight you with every penny I have. Women want men to buy them drinks, and marriage means I want a husband who will get up every day and go to work, so I can have a house to live in and sit around and watch I Love Lucy reruns. And the more money that husband makes, the better. More money means you have more access to that money. As I've stated, more is a good word. When somebody has more money, he is more appealing. Men don't care if women want to contribute financially or not. We only care if you want some of our money or not. Because a man is not going to look to a woman and say, "You know what? I want to get married. I want her to go out and work for a living." It's not the way we think. Men are self-sufficient. We only look to women for sex or companionship. Take your pick. Women look to men for companionship and social security. That's the prime difference between men and women. I would have no problem having a relationship with a woman who worked in the sanitation department. But I suspect a successful woman would not be anxious to have a relationship with a garbage collector. His job is a reflection of how attractive he is. That's not true for men. It's purely physical by and large. More money makes a man more attractive. Once again, more is good. Men don't care about women's jobs. They care if she has a big set of jugs and a nice ass. Remember? You wanted the truth. It's biological. It's their physicality. The attraction of women for men is visual. Perhaps the attraction of men to women is physical, but it's also ethereal. They might like a certain man because he has a great sense of humor, and so forth. I don't know how to tell women this, but I could give a shit whether she can crack a joke or not. That's just what I want, to go out on a date with a beautiful woman and have her break into Lucille Ball impressions. What women want men to do is to tell funny stories. We've got to be Bozo the Clown while you just sit there and smoke your Marlboro Lights. I want a man with a sense of humor. You hear that all the time. How many men say, "I want a woman with a sense of humor"? We don't want you to be funny. We just want you to be sexy. Don't be tomboys playing baseball with us. You can't run. You can't throw. Let the guys play guys' rules. Men have to change the rules so the girls can play. By the way, guys beat up on small guys too. It's not about sexuality. It's nothing personal against women. It's that you can't run and throw like the guys do. A guy can't get on a football team if he's smaller. He can't say, "You're picking on me just because I'm a guy." Same rules apply to women. You are a weakling. Get off the team. "You're picking on me just because I'm a woman." Okay, you're right. In nature, there's only one set of rules. Only the strong survive. There's an Olympic men's division. Now there's a women's division. Next, there's going to be a pygmy division. There should be one division. Let the best man or woman win. The best of the best. That's what it should be about. Not the best of the Europeans or the best of the women. You know why the Japanese are never in the World Heavyweight Championship for boxing? Because they get knocked out. Just because they're smaller racially? Yes. Women are not on that level, and the reason there are no heavyweight women boxers is because they'll get knocked out. It's politically correct, which is another way of saying bullshit. And girls, you can't be on the New York Yankees because you can't hit? Just because I'm a girl? Yeah, precisely because you are. Yes. Once again, I can't wait for my hate mail. And once again, I stand by my words. Dr. Phil is on his way to millions, but only if he doesn't get divorced. And now that he's famous, he'd better not be caught in the arms of any of the countless new offers I'm sure he's gotten from a sea of new women who are attracted to him because he's, yes, good-looking, but mostly famous. You read it here first. George Washington slept here may be far more historically profound than you might realize. Two women are talking. One says, "We women have to go through menstrual cramps and childbirth. What do men get?" The other says, "Us." Are you a male, any age, about to get married? Don't. Not now, not ever. Are you a female, any age, looking to get married as soon as possible and as often as possible? Great. Keep doing it. Get married lots of times. You can also have a job and keep that money as well. Are you a female with joint bank accounts, credit accounts, joint everything with your first husband and every single husband you will ever have? Great. Good for you. Bad for him. What's the cost of taking a woman out? Of living with her? Of marrying her? How to shower like a woman. Take off clothing and place in sectioned laundry basket according to lights, darks, whites, man-made or natural. Walk to shower wearing long dressing gown. If husband, boyfriend is seen along the way, cover up any exposed flesh and rush to bathroom. Examine womanly physique in the mirror and stick out belly. Complain and whine about getting fat. Get in shower, look for face cloth, arm cloth, loin cloth, long loofah, wide loofah, and wash hair once with cucumber shampoo with 83 added vitamins. Wash hair again, then apply cucumber conditioner with enhanced natural crocus oil. Leave on hair for 15 minutes. Wash face with crushed apricot facial scrub for 10 minutes until red and raw. Wash entire rest of body with ginger nut and apricot body wash. Rinse conditioner from hair, taking at least 15 minutes to make sure it's all off. Shave armpits and legs. Consider shaving bikini area but decide to get it waxed instead. Scream loudly when husband-boyfriend flushes toilet and water loses pressure and turns cold. Turn off shower. Squeegee all wet surfaces in shower. Get out of shower. Dry off with towel the size of a small African nation. Wrap hair in super absorbent second towel. Check entire body for remotest signs of spots. Attack with nail tweezers, if you can find any. Return to bedroom wearing long dressing gown and towel on head. If husband-boyfriend sees you, cover up any exposed areas, then rush to bedroom to spend an hour and a half getting dressed. How to shower like a man. Take off clothes while sitting on bed and leave them in a pile. Walk naked to bathroom. If seen by wife, girlfriend, shake willy at her and shout, "Wahoo!" Look in mirror and suck in gut to see manly physique. Admire size of willy in mirror and scratch balls. Get in shower. Don't bother to look for washcloth. Don't need one. Wash face. Wash armpits. Laugh at how loud farts sound in the shower. Wash balls and surrounding area. Wash ass, leaving hair on the soap. Shampoo hair, but do not use conditioner. Make Mohican hairstyle with shampoo. Pull back curtain to see self in mirror. Piss in shower. Rinse off and get out of shower. Fail to notice water on floor caused by shower curtain being outside bath for entire showering time. Partially dry off. Look at self in mirror, flex muscles, and admire size of willy again. Leave shower curtain open and wet bath mat on floor. Leave on bathroom light and fan. Return to bedroom with towel around waist, leaving wet footprints on carpets. If you pass wife, girlfriend, pull off towel, grab Willie, go, "Yeah, baby," and thrust pelvis at her. Put on yesterday's clothes. Taking care of business. By the mid-'80s, Paul and I noticed that although we were making more money than we'd ever made before, there were still some unanswered questions. Paul brought in an outside source who, after making some inquiries, decided there might be trouble in paradise. After all the legal wranglings back and forth, our then business managers were forced to leave, and after suing them, we were awarded cash and punitive damages. Being self-managed meant different things to Paul and myself. We have different interests, different things we're willing to do, and different strengths. Paul has always been much more firmly rooted in the image and credibility of the music of Kiss. I was never all that much concerned with credibility. I believed if we stood the test of time, that was enough. I was always much more interested in the business of Kiss. Although the songs were certainly important to me, what it all meant to a group of critics never played a big part in my life. It's all delusional anyway, because to your mom, it all sounds the same. Even the notion of credibility to people who never went to music school and can't read or write musical notation is lunacy at best. I was left only with myself to look to for all sorts of decisions. I found myself in the often awkward position of calling booking agents and doing things I'd never done before, including booking a South American tour and a Japanese tour. I also negotiated with recording studios, engineers, and producers and tried to keep the cost of doing business to a minimum. I often argued ad nauseum with recording studios about the cost of tape and/or the cost of the daily recording session. You must learn to make money for yourself and handle it properly. You should be loose, be fancy, be free, be liquid, have money, and be as flexible as possible. On Wall Street, the classic investment portfolio wisdom is, if you're fairly conservative, start by taking a look at the money that you have in hand. Not your earnings potential, but cash in hand. And if you want to invest, the worst place in the world is at a savings bank, because what they give you doesn't take inflation into account. You'll never make as much in a savings bank as you would being a little more adventurous with your money. A bank is completely safe. It's covered by the FDIC, Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. They have to pay you your money or the federal government will step in and make the bank solvent and make good on your money. But inflation will outperform the money you're making in interest, which, by the way, you have to pay tax on. The choices you have are being very conservative, a little conservative, or adventurous. If you're not enormously rich, then don't be adventurous. Don't put all your money in steel or gold or diamonds or any one thing, because it goes against the grain of, don't put all your eggs in one basket. You hear it all the time. Diversify. 10% of this, 10% of that. Mutual funds are good because there are a lot of different areas put into one. But by and large, the advice is to stay away from the stock market. If you don't have a lot of money, Wall Street won't love you as much as Bill Gates. Wall Street loves dollars, not pennies. Save, save, and save some more. One thing I've done right over the years is investing in the business I know best, Gene Simmons. Because while Enron and other corporations will be stealing, fiddling with the numbers and double-dealing, I know Gene Simmons best. I know that I will work harder for me than anybody would. I'm willing to gamble on myself. Having said that, I almost never use my own money in any entity I've ever been involved in. I always use somebody else's money. Always. Never use your own money, or hardly ever. Use your parents' money, the bank's money, God's money, your girlfriend's money. Use anybody's money, but don't use your own. Make a deal with them. The deal should be they give you the money, capital, and they need do nothing else. You will then go and work that money, that is, put in the time and effort. After costs, which also means that you get paid a pre-agreed-upon price for your labor, the profits, if any, will be split 50-50 with that person. And by the way, If you can get 50% of the profits for yourself, you're one lucky bastard. Because if you were using my money, I would want to keep 90% of the profits, and I would want to be paid first, even before expenses. I'd want to be paid on the first dollar in. You would pay the expenses. However, and keep this in mind, people who have money are also fascinated by worker ants. Convince them you are the king of worker ants. They love to see other people scurrying about, trying to build things. They want glory. They want to see their name up in lights. But they don't have the time and or passion, perhaps, to put as much into it as you're willing to put into it, which is why banks, foundations, economic institutions, and Wall Street are solely based on the notion that there are trillions of dollars somebody has to do something with. It's a stunning revelation. Nobody ever puts it that way, but the entire economic system is simply based on the notion that money must be spent. Otherwise, it dies. Money must keep being reinvested. Otherwise, inflation takes big bites out of it every year. The money people are dying to find somebody like you to give money to, if you're willing in exchange to put in your blood, sweat, and tears. Don't forget time and effort as well. Good help is hard to find. If you're good help, money would love to find you. I want to pump you full of hope. I want to shake you inside out and make you realize that you too can have access to the American dream. I spell that dream C-A-S-H. Pennies do not come from heaven. They have to be earned right here on earth. Margaret Thatcher. Note that she said pennies, not dollars. It may take you a while to understand this one. If A equals success, then the formula is A equals X plus Y plus Z. X is work, Y is play, Z is keep your mouth shut. Albert Einstein. In other words, as another famous person once said, I never learned anything while I was talking. There are foolish ways of enjoying life, I'll grant you, but I'm not here to tell you that you shouldn't do them. I simply decided that being poor was not an acceptable alternative. I will scratch and claw my way to riches because the alternative is being poor. George Raft, an American actor in the 1930s and 40s, went through $10 million. He said, part of the loot went for gambling, part for horses, and part for women. The rest I spent foolishly. All of Mr. Raft's spending habits were foolish. $10 million is a lot of money, especially if you lose it. Many people say money is the root of all evil. That's actually not true. Lack of money is the root of all evil. People will hold you up for money, but those same people, if they were loaded, rich, might not resort to holding a gun in front of your face. Sometimes passion and perseverance is worth more than experience and qualification. Either way, if one is experienced and qualified, it helps to be passionate. And persevere. Never give up. I continued to produce other bands and act. I was offered another bad guy role in a movie called Wanted, Dead or Alive, starring Rutger Hauer. In quick succession after that, I acted in Red Surf with George Clooney, before fame, Never Too Young to Die, Trick or Treat, and with Paul the documentary, The Rise and Fall of Western Civilization. I also tried television, the 2-hour premiere movie of the week of Miami Vice, HBO's The Hitcher, and later on, Talk to Me, Millennium, and a few others. I wanted to stretch. I wanted to have my cake and eat it too. Also, although Kiss had gone way beyond anyone's expectations, I didn't want to have all my eggs in one basket. My partner Paul, who was always concerned about Kiss's music, expressed his concern that my outside activities were impacting on Kiss. Kiss was still my passion. I immersed myself in areas that were left untouched. I was also a neophyte and wasn't exactly qualified to make legal judgments. Either way, I wound up giving one of our auditors an entire breakdown of albums we never got paid on, or on albums that were sold at a discount price without our permission. I hunted down bootleggers and, with the help of lawyers, made a case against them. I started collecting Kiss fanzines, which by then numbered in the hundreds. Before the Internet, they were my eyes and ears around the world. They reported on all things Kiss: bootleg videos, bootleg records, bootleg merchandise, and so on. I stopped all illegal Kiss comic books and managed to get all the original art. I noticed that dead celebrities had auctions and wondered why Kiss couldn't have one while we were alive. Eventually, I arranged and negotiated a deal for our own Kiss auction that was held at Paramount Studios in Hollywood. Over the years, I noticed many Kiss magazines appearing on the newsstands. I'm not a lawyer, and yet certain questions will pop up in my mind. For instance, the band owned its own makeup and logo, and the trademark office prevented anyone else from being able to, for instance, put out a Kiss T-shirt without our permission and without our profit participation. Why, then, were publishers allowed to distribute their own Kiss magazines without us being involved in at least an advisory capacity and without a profit participation? I was told that since we were public figures, any interference on our part would be tantamount to limiting the publisher's rights to freedom of the press. I didn't agree. I pushed my point with our lawyers and was advised that, yes, perhaps I had a case. Under the law, we certainly had a right to first merchandising status. Before anyone could make a dime off of the band's trademarks, we should be the only ones, as owners of the trademark, to earn a living from it. That opened the door for me to pick up the phone and call one of the more active Kiss magazine publishers. They were understandably surprised to hear me on the other end. I told them that while it was all very nice to walk to the newsstands and see entire magazines devoted to Kiss, it wasn't okay that we were not consulted about the content, and more importantly, the publishers were getting paid and we were not. I said that the reason I was calling instead of lawyers was simply as a pragmatic way of letting the publishers do what they wanted to do, publish the Kiss magazines, and also to satisfy certain considerations we had. I was calling as a deal maker, not a deal breaker. In fact, I continued, if they gave us a healthy slice of the profits and an advance, non-recoupable, we would keep the money whether the magazine was successful or not, their magazines would be official or authorized. In essence, a licensed Kiss piece of merchandise, and I would keep the barking dogs, lawyers, away. As far as I know, this has never happened before in the magazine world, but the publisher agreed. As a result, the publisher and the band put out 10 different Kiss specials. All sold very well. The publisher was happy, and we got big, fat checks we wouldn't normally have gotten. Additionally, I made sure the publisher gave us free advertising pages to advertise whatever Kiss merchandise we were selling at the time. It's fascinating what you can learn if you just keep your eyes and ears open. Originality is highly overrated. I don't have an original bone in my body. All I do is take stuff that everybody knows and put it together. When a chef says, "This is my original creation," he's lying. There's nothing new under the sun. He just made up a new combination of ingredients. That's what I do. The truth is, what often works is simply what works, and whether it's original or not has very little to do with it. Many original ideas simply aren't pragmatic. Pragmatic means leads to money. Lest I remind you too often, money is what this book is all about. It's what I'm all about, that's what life is all about, and that's what you should be all about. You can be original and poor. I'd rather be unoriginal and rich. How about you? Take originality as opposed to being pragmatic. Originality is just somebody looking for a pat on the back. I don't want a pat. I want your cash in my pocket. Pragmatism is potentially a harvest of cash. I don't want to be on the Lewis and Clark expedition and trailblaze. I want to be the guy who comes afterwards, after they've all been bitten by mosquitoes, and comfortably follow the trail they've made. I just want to do it better and cheaper and reap the rewards. I am aware of and recognize the value of original thinkers and trailblazers. But unless I trademark and corner a market, do I want to be the Wright brothers then, or American Airlines now? Pragmatism means if you're going to copycat something, do it where who or what your copying is. Open your restaurant right next door to other successful restaurants. Just make yours different. It works. I like Chinese food, but not every day. You know yourself best and can count on yourself more than anyone. Are you investing in yourself first and foremost? Are you good help? Would your work ethic impress people who might give you money? Have you stretched and grown throughout your working life? Are you constantly testing yourself, trying new things, setting new goals, learning about other areas of your business?